and take present. And Lord, bless everyone that's in here, Lord. Lord, we thank you, Lord. And Lord, we ask you, Lord, to come in and bring peace. And let us all come together and reason together. In your name, Jesus. Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. The meeting room comes to order. We are now in the meeting of the St. Parish School Board. Roll call.
Mr. Porter.
Present.
Ms. Rosita Porter. Ms. Linda Cheney.
Present. Item B, approve minutes and agenda from October 10th, 2024, committee meeting, October the 10th, 2024, regular board meeting. Can I get those approved collectively? Motion by Ms. George Porter, second by Mr. George Hughes. Any questions? No questions shall pass by general consent. Item 3, approve current agenda with an addendum. Can I get a motion to add that addendum? What's the motion? What's the motion? We need to add it. Okay, motion by Mr. George Hughes to add executive session and item D2 to go into executive session to discuss Bernard Gordon Senior versus St. Parish School Board, 21st JDC, number 25510. We take a vote on that. Roll call.
Ms. George Porter.
Yes.
Ms. Rosita Porter.
Yes.
Ms. Linda Cheney.
Yes.
Mr. George Hughes.
Yes.
Ms. Virginia Bell.
Yes.
Mr. Alvin Travis.
Yes.
Now can we get a motion to approve the current agenda with the addendum? Motion by Mr. Alvin Travis, second by Mr. George Hughes. Any questions? No question shall pass by general consent. Item C, superintendent's report.
Good afternoon, board members. Good afternoon, community. I just have a few announcements I'd like to share with you all. First, our ribbon cutting ceremony for the Early Learning Center was held on Tuesday, October 29th at 10 a.m. Our little learners are finally back on their campus, and we want to thank everyone who attended the event and saw firsthand this new learning space. Our St. Helena school community experienced an exciting educational event that combined family fun with immersive learning opportunities as we hosted Super Saturday, a day that was filled with interactive STEM activities. And this was in partnership with STEM NOLA. It was held at the College and Career Academy, and the event was a resounding success, drawing in 257 families and fostering a deeper connection between learners, parents, and the school community. So we want to definitely thank everyone who made this a huge success. And at this time, I'll ask Ms. Jackson to come up because she spearheaded the event to give us, a little bit more insight about what happened that day.
Good evening, board. How you doing? I just want to say that the Super Saturday was a huge event. Our parents, we have some of our parents here today. Would you please stand?
Come on.
Thank you. It was a huge event. The kids had a wonderful time. The parents were actually engaged on the floor with the learners. And I want to thank the rest of the directors for working so hard to make this an amazing event for our kids. They deserve the absolute best, and that's what we provided for them on Super Saturday. Thank you.
All right, teachers and staff who were nominated for the 2024-2025 Personnel of the Year Awards were honored during halftime at the football game Friday night. Each one was recognized and presented with a gift basket made by Ms. Thelma Hamler. So we want to thank our Human Resources Department for making this a special night for our special employees. And their names are, for our District Outstanding School Support Employee of the Year, Gloria Porter, custodian from the high school. Tiffany Rogers, food service manager from the A&T. McKinley Muse, bus driver from our transportation department. Let's give them a round of applause. Our outstanding school support employee of the year, Ms. Cassandra Foreman, teaching assistant. Deanne Collier, food service technician, and Carlisha Womack, school secretary. Let's give them a round. For our new teacher of the year, for the St. Helena College and Career Academy, Tanangelin Overton. For the A&T, our Arts and Technology, Devisha Brumfield, and for our Early Learning Center, Carlisha Muse. Give them a round. And for our Teachers of the Year, for the College and Career Academy, Ms. Antoinette Davis. For the Arts and Technology Academy, Dr. Joyce Peralta. And for our Early Learning Center, Ms. Cynthia Lee. We recognize them Friday night, and then we'll continue to recognize them in various events that we'll have from now until the end of it. So once again, thank all of them, and thank to everyone who made that day, that evening, a very special.
Great.
All right, so next we have Ms. Singleton. She will come up and share with everyone the new grants that we were awarded.
Good evening, everyone. So I am here tonight to give some great news. In September, we were given the opportunity to apply for 2 grants through the Marketing Education Retail Alliance, or MIRROR program, toward the school-based businesses and our internship programs. The first grant, the Work-Based Learning Program grant, we were funded for $16,000, and those funds will be used to enhance our internship program through marketing to local organizations and other industries to build the program, uniforms for our learners that will be working the internships, and stipends for those working in areas that may not be able to pay. And then the second grant, the school-based business program, we received the full amount of $2,000. That's the highest amount they will give for it. And it is to target a business on a high school campus for us. That is the PJ's Coffee business at the College and Career Academy. And those funds are used for inventory and day-to-day upkeep of the business. So we received confirmation this week that we were funded for both grants.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Our high school ELA teachers received a powerful 3-hour job-embedded professional development today, and the purpose was to equip them with tools needed to create active, engaging instruction for their learners and ensure the curriculum is implemented as it is intended. We have Mr. Lawrence and Ms. Nettles. We'd like to thank them for facilitating the event. Would you like to come up and share a few words about the event and how it went?
Ryan Lawrence, ELA support for St. Helena. It was a pleasure to serve our teachers today. As you know, that the state mandates our teachers to teach complex texts through the guidebooks. And it's rather, I don't want to say it's a tedious journey, but it is a journey that's set before the teachers to prepare our learners to be ready, academic excellent for college, for career, and just to be ready and to give that background knowledge that they need to, score on those ACT tests, to be able to get that 4-year degree, and even to use that knowledge to further themselves after they get the 4-year degree for the master's, and so on and so forth. So we were able to break down all of the components of learning so that our teachers actually see the process from data to text complex text to how to respond to it, how to address misconceptions that are in the curriculum so that we can make sure that our learners are getting every type of intervention that's actually due them. So we hope that this opportunity will, well, not hope. I'm certain that this opportunity was able to equip them with all that they need so that we can definitely get some high marks when our learners take that LEAP test in the spring. So, thank you, Dr. Joseph and the board for allowing us to utilize this space so that we can continue to create engineers, more teachers, more leaders, and more community servants. So thank you all.
Thank you. All right. As directed during the Leadership Summit and Board Retreat this summer, I am presenting to you the first Constituent Concerns Quarterly Report. You have it in front of you, board members. As a reminder, each board member was given a QR code for their constituents to access a digital form to fill out if they presented a concern to you. Our staff will, in turn, respond to the concern within 48 hours. This quarter, we logged one concern. That is the formal process. We did have other concerns that were addressed when we received them as well. So you have that in front of you at this time. Any questions about that? And last but certainly not least, our Thanksgiving holiday break is November 25th through 29th. We are operating on a 5-day work week during the months of November and December. And we just want to take this time to wish everyone a happy Thanksgiving and holiday season. And with that, that concludes my report. At this time, I'm going to ask Sheriff Clay Schutz to please come forward. He has a presentation.
Hello. I am Clay Schutz. I'm Sheriff of St. Helena Parish, and I thank you for this opportunity to address this board tonight. I'm here tonight to talk about school safety. My job and promise as Chief Law Enforcement Officer of St. Helena Parish is to use every legal means at my disposal to keep our schools as safe as I possibly can. In 2023, we had 2 school shootings at St. Helena College and Career Academy. On January 20th, 35 shots were fired from 3 different weapons in the parking lot of a basketball game. By the grace of God, no one was hit. On September the 12th, 2023, 15 shots were fired at our school. 1 student was killed, 2 others were injured. That's a total of 50 rounds fired from 4 weapons, with 1 student left dead and 2 others injured. When I was elected sheriff, I made a promise to do everything in my power to try to stop this type of violence. On July 25th, 2024, I hired Deputy Chad Dupuy as school resource officer. Both Superintendent Kelly Joseph and Principal Angela Strickland overwhelmingly agreed with me that Deputy Dupuy was the right choice for the job. 39 days later, or school days of working, Deputy Dupuy had handled a total of 20 incidents at this school in which a report was written with approximately 83 individuals he dealt with, resulting in 24 arrests. The arrests included aggravated assault with a gun, assault on a teacher, battery, drugs, possession of a vape under 21, disturbance of a school day. These figures do not include the numerous everyday duties such as conducting preventive patrols, building checks, searches of bathrooms, unauthorized personnel on campus, disruptive students, fights, in which my officer handled without a report or without an arrest and turned over to school for discipline. On October 4th, 2024, Principal Strickland notified my officer of an odor of marijuana coming from a locker of a cafeteria employee. Principal Strickland led the officer to the area of the locker in question where a backpack was found. While Deputy Dupuy was in the middle of his investigation with a detained suspect, Dr. Kelly Joseph arrived on the scene, ordered my officer to take her employee out of handcuffs several times, which he refused to do. At one point, my officer asked Dr. Joseph, "Is weed not a problem?" To which she stated, "This is not part of your job." Dr. Joseph then told my officer that this day would be his last day on this campus, stating that this was ridiculous. The backpack was taken into evidence. A trained narcotics detection dog made a positive hit on the backpack. Substance found in the backpack was tested, and results came back positive for marijuana in the backpack. I was asked to attend a meeting at the school board that night. Dr. Joseph stated that Deputy Dupuy would not be allowed back on school campus and gave me a letter stating the same. When I questioned Dr. Joseph, she stated that it was because of the incident earlier that day. I asked her twice if this incident was the one that I had not yet investigated, to which she said yes, and for not following school board policy and other things. As a courtesy, I removed Deputy Dupuy from this school campus until I could complete a thorough investigation. My office did a complete and full investigation of every incident documented by Deputy Dupuy in his 39 days on campus, including looking at the 20 reports, numerous hours of body footage cameras with video and audio. I had an outside agency do a complete, full investigation of all of my officers' incidents. I had a qualified use of force expert investigate all of my officers' incidents. I had our district attorney's office investigate all of my officers' incidents. I had attorney Craig Frost from the Louisiana Sheriff's Association investigate all of my officers' incidents. I spoke with an attorney who has represented over 15 school districts throughout the state of Louisiana, the Louisiana State Superintendent of Education, the Louisiana Assistant State Superintendent of Education, the Louisiana State Senate Chairman of the Education Committee, the Louisiana Attorney General, and 3 of her attorneys. The independent agency concluded that all allegations against Deputy Dupuy were unfounded. They also stated in their conclusion, based on the available video and what was memorialized, it appears that Kelly Joseph interfered in the investigation by attempting to remove the bag from Deputy Dupuy's possession and by attempting to intimidate Deputy Dupuy by making threats of having him removed from the school and banning him from the investigation and attempting to enforce law of the school of state law of the state of Louisiana with drugs on the campus of a school within the parish of St. Helena. Not one of these individuals or agencies indicated that Deputy Dupuy or the St. Helena Parish Sheriff's Office violated any laws, rights, or policies. As to the accusation that Deputy Dupuy did not follow school board policies, I informed Dr. Joseph that state law supersedes school board policy, which she disagreed with me 3 times. Every attorney that I have spoken with have all stated to me that law supersedes policy. Furthermore, in the memorandum of understanding provided to me by Superintendent Joseph, which I signed, states, the school resource officer shall abide by the policies and rules and regulations of St. Helena Parish School Board. The school board shall supply the SRO with a copy of such rules and regulations. In the event of a conflict between such rules and regulations with the policy and procedures of the sheriff's office, the policies and procedures of the sheriff's office shall take precedent. The MOU also states, criminal law violations shall be handled as prescribed by the Louisiana Criminal Code, Louisiana Children's Code, Louisiana Code of Criminal Procedure, and other applicable laws. No school board official has the authority to mandate that an SRO allow a criminal violation of any type be handled administratively. Earlier this school year, in conversations with Dr. Joseph and Principal Strickland, I informed them that I plan to conduct a safety sweep. I also informed both of them that I would not give them advance notice of exactly when the sweep would occur. Neither objected at that time. On Wednesday, September 25th, 2024, at approximately 9:30 a.m., St. Helena Parish Sheriff's Office, along with 3 other agencies, conducted a safety sweep of the entire St. Helena College and Career Academy campus. Every building, room, vehicle were swept with detection dogs. It took us approximately 1 hour and 45 minutes to conduct this safety sweep. The school served lunch at 11:30. I wanted to make sure we were done before lunch and to be as quick as possible and as least disruptive as possible. I also reached out to the principal to obtain her schedule and testing schedules to make sure that we would not be on site to interfere with any testing. Prior to the safety sweep, I reached out to other agencies and our district attorney to ensure that it was done legally and properly. Every team consisted of a detection dog, a dog handler, a juvenile officer, and a school administrator. That day after the safety sweep, I spoke to Dr. Joseph, who was very upset with the sweep and stated that her school had been raided. I told her that I thought we were making very good progress in keeping the school safe. I strongly felt that the SR program was deterring illegal activity in our school. The week prior, a gun had been found in Livingston Parish School. That week, a gun had been found in the Tangible Parish School system. I was also very proud to report that no guns, drugs, or contraband of any type had been found in our school buildings or on any student. We found a faculty member with drugs in his vehicle and one with a gun in his vehicle. I saw that we were making progress and placed it on the St. Helena Parish office Facebook page. Dr. Joseph strongly disagreed with this and was very upset. During our October 4th meeting, Dr. Joseph stated that the safety sweep was illegal and that she should have been notified. I was also told that I did not have probable cause to conduct the safety sweep. I informed her that the safety sweep was legal and that I had previously told her that I would not be giving her advance notice, although I did attempt to call her approximately 2 minutes prior to the teams arriving and she did not answer. As to probable cause, I told her that I did not need probable cause. But if she or they, the people in the room, wanted probable cause, then it was the fact that we had 2 school shootings with 50 rounds fired from 4 different weapons, leaving 1 student dead and 2 wounded. Dr. Joseph stated to me, that was a year ago. I said, yes, just 1 year ago. And I've just taken over, Sheriff, and I will do everything in my power to stop that from happening again. Then the school board vice president, Virginia Bell, stated that the whole community was up in arms about the safety sweep and that the school shooting was an anomaly. I strongly disagreed and stated that it was not an anomaly. It was a murder of a student and the wounding of 2 others. She said, I meant it only happened once. I said, no, it happened twice with 50 rounds fired. Dr. Joseph informed me during the meeting that I would not be allowed to conduct safety sweeps without first notifying her in the future. During the October 4th school shooting incident involving drugs found in a locker, Dr. Joseph, while on the scene of a criminal investigation, stated, "This is ridiculous," referring to a duly sworn deputy conducting a criminal investigation of possible drugs on campus, reported to him by the principal of the school. After legally detaining a faculty member where drugs were found in their locker, Dr. Joseph stated what my officer was doing was ridiculous. What I find ridiculous is the overwhelming amount of evidence that the school administration is trying to handle criminal matters in-house and fighting the chief law enforcement officer of this parish, my office, from doing our job. What I also find ridiculous is an email that was put in a packet that was given to me during that meeting by the superintendent on the October 4th meeting. It was titled Police Presence on Campus from Kelly Joseph. It stated, "Greetings, principals. Please allow this to serve as official notification that prior approval must, underline, be given whenever the authorities are needed on school campuses. There are policies and procedures in the learner handbook to address behavioral issues and various incidents. Those must be utilized first. If the situation gets out of control and a police presence is necessary, you must contact me immediately for further instructions." This order places lives in danger and certainly, I would think, would put this board at severe liability. Throughout my investigation, this is the only school system that I have found that does not welcome the police presence on their campus. Starting tomorrow, I am resuming the school resource officer program at the school with Deputy Chad Dupuy. I also want to make it clear to the school board, to the administration, faculty, and all present here tonight that it is illegal to interfere or obstruct a criminal investigation. And if that happens, my office will take immediate action. As I stated earlier, my goal is to have a safe, drug-free, violence-free school. My prayer is that this school will work with me, not against me, to achieve this. I thank you for your time. And I have a copy of this that I'm going to give to each and every one of you.
I'd like to take a moment to address the recent communication between the St. Helena Parish Sheriff and our school district regarding the school resource officer, the position, and the series of events and actions that have followed. It is my hope to provide clarity on the steps taken, the discussions held, and the decisions made, all with the intent to prioritizing the safety and well-being of our learners, staff, and school community. On October 4th, an already scheduled meeting with the sheriff, Board President Cheney, and Vice President Bell was held to discuss the incident that had taken place at the high school. Some may call it a comprehensive safety drill, others may call it a raid. Earlier that same day, an incident occurred involving the SRO and a member of our food services staff. She is present with us tonight. It was also on that day, the sheriff received a formal notification from our district indicating that after careful consideration, we had decided to move in a different direction with the school resource officer effective immediately. This decision was not taken lightly. It came after thorough discussions with our leadership team. Our intention was to find an SRO who could better align our district's needs and expectations in fostering a secure school environment. On October 7th, in response to our notice, the sheriff reached out to request that the current SRO be allowed to remain in the school until a full investigation of the incident could be completed. We acknowledged his concern, yet our stance remained firm. On October 8th, I responded to his request, emphasizing that the school principal, our board president, and I were in agreement that the SRO should not be reinstated. Additionally, we informed the sheriff that we had 2 candidates who had already applied for the SRO position and invited him to participate in the interview process. In addition to the written response, our HR supervisor personally reached out to the sheriff to reinforce our willingness to collaborate in filling this crucial role. On October 16th, as planned, we conducted interviews with the prospective candidates, taking great care to evaluate each individual's qualifications to ensure they would serve our learners and school community well. Following these interviews on October 17th, I personally contacted the sheriff to communicate our continued commitment to moving forward with the selection of a new SRO. However, at that time, the sheriff indicated that the investigation into the incident was still ongoing with no definitive timeline for its conclusion. He also had a concern about the school district conducting interviews because the SRO is hired through the sheriff's office. Understand, our intention was not to overstep the sheriff, but we absolutely understood the urgency to get an SRO at the school. On November 4th, I sent a subsequent letter to the sheriff. In it, I reiterated our need to move forward promptly with hiring a new SRO for our district. Despite this message, I did not receive a response. Instead, on Tuesday, November 12th, I was informed by the state superintendent that he had been called into a meeting in Baton Rouge with the sheriff and State Senator Rick Edmonds to discuss this matter. The next day, the sheriff requested to be added to our upcoming board agenda. Although the deadline to formally add items to the agenda had passed, I extended an invitation for him to speak under my superintendent's report, which he accepted. And that, in brief, brings us to our present gathering. Through each step of this process, our commitment has remained steadfast. We aim to create and maintain a safe, supportive, and positive environment for all members of our school community. And we believe that our collective responsibility to protect and nurture our learners compels us to take prompt and decisive actions when circumstances demand it. I am confident that moving forward, we will continue to foster a collaborative relationship with the Sheriff's Office in ways that prioritize the needs of our learners and staff. Additionally, I want to address an important aspect of my prior discussions with the Sheriff regarding the SRO's roles and expectations. At the onset, the Sheriff communicated that the current SRO was in a probationary period. a trial phase intended to determine his suitability within our school environment. The sheriff mentioned that if the SRO's performance met or exceeded expectations, he would like to discuss the possibility of a pay increase for this role, should we choose to continue with his assignment in our district. I responded that any decision to increase the SRO's pay would be subject to approval by the board. This agreement was part of the basis upon which we felt empowered to take the recent actions regarding the SRO position. We do not feel it is unreasonable to request that we move in a different direction. More importantly, to put this into context, this position is paid through a one-year grant totaling $49,999. I personally wrote that grant, and it took me several weeks to write that grant. And I understand the importance of adding an additional layer of support and security for the kids at our school. Okay? So we must apply for that grant every year. So there's no guarantee that we would even get the grant from year to year. So this is the only reason why we have a school resource officer in the first place, is because of the grant that I wrote. We do want safety and security for all our kids. We have received a $518,000 grant from the state, and we use those funds to increase our security cameras. We hardened our schools. We did all of those things. And we are waiting right now to receive word on if we receive another $1 million grant that I personally wrote that would help with our kids' mental state and also provide other additional supports for security at the schools. We do not want to be at odds with the sheriff. The only issue is the school resource officer. We want to move forward with a different resource officer. And we have that right to state who we would like in that position. And that is it, plain and simple. Now, if there are any other people who would like to share their concerns about this particular situation, please come forward.
Ryan Lawrence again. So I would like to address the board and the community. First of all, Dr. Joseph is the Chief Operating Officer of St. Helena Parish School District. And if there are any issues that should have been addressed regarding what was taking place at the high school, I feel as though that she and the board and perhaps the board attorney should have been brought in with the discussion before a raid perhaps took in effect. There are many ways to address concerns when working together to bring change to the community, not tear the community apart. The community has already been affected by situations, and we don't need another situation to take away from the success that's being implemented within the district. The school does need an SRO. However, perhaps the individual who was the SRO may not be the best fit and candidate for the school district. Just as Dr. Joseph said, she understands as well as I understand that safety is an issue. You all know as law enforcement officers, safety is an issue, but perhaps not with that individual. We want the community to feel safe. As an educator who has taught for nearly 15 years, I would want to be in a situation where if there is an SRO, he needs to make sure that he has that experience, that knowledge, and that knowledge set to be able to have worthy conversations with students, with employees, with communities. Because if you address a circumstance the wrong way, that could just create all kind of havoc. And at this point, we need to come together as a people. It's not about the person or that particular candidate you want. It should be about the person who is best for that particular job. So I hope that this information is received, because just as Dr. Joseph is the chief operating officer for St. Helena Parish School Board, that means that as sheriff, she has no jurisdiction to tell you exactly how to operate your office. So I don't see how it's necessary for the sheriff to be able to tell her that she's not in compliance when all she wants to do is collaborate. But you have to come to a common ground to figure out who's the best candidate. So at that moment, it seems like it's an abuse of power situation, and we have to work together so that we can be the model role models for these children, for these babies. The babies have to see us working together so that we can get what we need in this district and we can be a role model. There's no reason that Baton Rouge had to be called. That could have been worked out right down the road across the street. We have to learn how to work together so that we can keep other people out of our community business. And those are my remarks, and I hope that they are well received.
Good evening, board community. I I am Tracy Womack, the food service director. I was called in on the situation upon the arriving at the cafeteria. I met uh, Ms. Strickland and the resource officer. We talked about it, and she said we're gonna watch the films. I said okay, we'll watch the films. At that time, she left me. She left. She came back. We went back inside, and just watching the officer, it made me a little nervous because she said, "Well, I'm going up here and I'm gonna watch my film," because she couldn't see nothing clearly. So the resource officer told us that he was not going to leave. So by that time, Dr. Joseph came in, and next thing I know, he had handcuffed the young lady. And the way she was handcuffed, it was very awkward, and we was just saying, loosen her up, because it was wrong. It's like nothing we said. He didn't care about her feelings. He didn't care about anything, and I asked what was going on. He didn't say. Nobody tried to interfere in his investigation. I just don't like the way things was handled. She's a human being. She shouldn't have been treated that way. It could have been treated a different way. I understand the sheriff have a position. He have things to do. Uh, right now, our concern, we do everything for safety. These incidents is coming up with the shootings and all this kind of stuff. We are providing a lot of safety. We have put a lot of things in place for our students, faculty, and everybody that comes on that campus. And we gonna forever keep doing the same thing, trying to make sure everybody is safe. But it really traumatized this young lady, you know. Even and what really stuck out to me, and what really bothered me, this young man is employed by the sheriff. After the conversation, Dr. Joseph was on the phone with the sheriff. He told the resource officer to take the handcuffs off the young lady. Dr. Joseph told him, you heard him, he said, take it off. Okay. He was so very arrogant about it. It was like, okay. She said, he told you to take them off of it. He looked at us and he told us these words, and it really resonated with me. I'm going to take it off when I get ready. So that made me think that he had an ego, and he was employed by the sheriff, but he's not following what the sheriff said. So that's insubordinate all by itself. Am I right? So if the sheriff say take it off and that's your boss, that shouldn't be no other question. His thing was when I get ready. And he made that girl sit up there. Sit up there. He wanted to escort that girl through from the gym down through the hallway where all those students said. I had a problem with that. That was the biggest thing. Why parade that girl from the cafeteria and let all those kids, her son was up there. Why would you do that? You know, to me, it's like he had a motive. You know, he wanted to, I mean, it's his investigation, but it's still ways to handle situations like that. You know, again, it goes back to that's his employee, but he did something totally different than what you say. So if you tell somebody to do something, it should be done. That's all I got to say.
I would like to speak. I get my use of force person and maybe an attorney up here also. First of all, I never told my deputy to unhandcuff that person.
Did he talk to you?
I never told my deputy to unhandcuff that person.
Wow.
If you say that, you are lying and so are you. I
I'm
never
going by this.
You can say anything you want. I never said that.
Excuse me.
Yes, ma'am.
I'm the chair. We gonna respect each other in here.
I
That's what it's
apologize for
about.
saying you were lying. That was a mistake to say that.
Yeah,
I never
come on.
said to unhandcuff that person. I told my deputy, I told you, doctor, I am not there. I can't tell him to do that. I don't know what's going on. You told me, he said there's marijuana in the bag. There's no marijuana. I said, doc, I am not there. I cannot do that not being there. I talked to him. I asked him, I said, what's the situation? He said, it's pretty tense right now. I said, do you feel comfortable unhandcuffed? He said, not at this moment. Another phone call came from you. And at some point in time, he told me, yes, we have other officers. The situation is calm. And I do feel that I could unhandcuff her safely now. I said, well, if you feel that way, then do it. If you don't, do not. Those were my words to him. I never told him to. And it's my understanding he did at that point in time. Because I think you told me that he had unhandcuffed her. That's what I told him. I never, ever told him to unhandcuff her. Secondly, I have a question.
Sure.
We are here and we've gotten testimony and we're appalled that this person was handcuffed and was treated a little bit, maybe the way some people, and I don't know how much use of force you had been through or training you've been through in arresting people or detaining people or educating people, but you seem to know exactly how that should have went. No one on this board has mentioned tonight any problem with there being marijuana in a faculty member's locker. Is that even a question for you? A concern for you?
So let me say something.
Yes, ma'am.
Let me ask this question. So, Ms. Womack, Dr. Joseph, y'all was there. Y'all looked in the book sack. Did y'all see? Did y'all something?
At that point, I asked to see. When I peeped at it, he yanked it. I didn't see nothing but trash.
So where did the book sack go from that point?
He carried it all around the campus. He walked around with it.
So he took the book sack with him.
He took it everywhere he went.
So how we know what was in that book sack?
Exactly.
Okay, that's all.
Exactly.
So you're accusing my officer.
I'm not accusing
So
nobody.
his word.
I asked a question.
Well,
There's a difference in saying
the night of
something.
October 4th, there was an accusatory question about my officer planting something in the bag, and I said, absolutely not. We've got camera footage of what my officer did with the bag. The evidence that he had, he properly stored the evidence. We properly had a dog test that bag who hit on that bag for a narcotic substance, and that dog is a certified dog, and a test was done on the subject in that bag substance, and it tested positive for marijuana.
So you found that there was substance in the bag?
Yes, that
How
tested
much?
positive.
How much?
Don't know, didn't measure it.
Most people measure.
Was it tested on campus? When
It was not.
tested?
No, at the sheriff's office.
So, again, it was transferred, like I say, all over the campus. I think that was a question I asked.
All evidence is transferred.
So my
It
thing,
has to get to an evidence locker somewhere.
I understand that, but he held on to him for hours,
For how long?
for a long time.
No, we tested it that morning shortly thereafter. I know I've got the test times.
No, he
It
walked
was,
around with that
possibly
book sack
afternoon.
A
It was
long time, because he had, that lady was handcuffed for a long time. Your officers came there. He had that book. I was there the whole while. I know it was he walked around with a good hour and something. I know he did, because I was there.
Well, once again, are you insinuating that he put something in this
I
bag?
did not say that. That's your words, not mine.
I
I did
have
not say that.
full,
All I said was he walked around with it. How do we know? I'm not accusing nobody. I just asked, how do you know? How do
because
you
we
know?
did it the proper way that we're supposed to do it. And we had it tested properly according to laws and procedures and policies.
Okay,
And it tested positive for marijuana.
okay.
What was the basis of the raid?
On the use of force, can I get you looked at this, and what was your use of force opinion? And you are an expert witness for use of force.
Good evening. My name is Charlie Dupuy. I'm the Chief Deputy for Sheriff Schutz. I've been in law enforcement for 36 years. I've been recognized by the court as a use of force expert inside the state. And I reviewed all the body camera from the deputy from the beginning of the incident to the end. I looked at his actions, his interactions with the different people that were involved in the situation, the person he detained, the other deputies that arrived, everything that occurred at the school is recorded. Where the deputy went, what the deputy did, where the bag went, when the bag was transported, when it got to the sheriff's office, up until the time that it was tested. All of that's on body camera. So there's no dispute about what happened with the bag, where the bag was at, what was going on. In the situation where the deputy's interacting with the person that he detains, there are several interactions between the detainee and the deputy and with the bag, both with people trying to grab the bag, look into the bag, see what he saw. He detained her, which is within his right. When I arrived, there were questions asked of me of why didn't he read her rights? Well, he hadn't placed her under arrest. You can place somebody and detain somebody without placing them under arrest and without asking them any questions, which he did not. It was in the view of the investigation, in the process of the investigation. There was a strong odor of marijuana coming from the locker. That's indisputable. So marijuana either was in the locker at some point or was still in the locker when he looked in it looking for the marijuana. Now, whether it got disposed of prior to going into the locker, I can't tell you. I don't know. But it's his right as a law enforcement officer to look into it to see if there's a product there. A school system is a no drug-free zone. No drugs, none. Regardless of the amount, it's a drug-free zone. He's well within his right as a police officer to conduct an investigation. He's within his right as a police officer to detain people in that investigation. And as you, at some point, will see the video, you can see several people getting upset, for not a better word, excited or frustrated, whichever adjective you want to use. And he has the right to control the situation. And that's what, in my opinion, and in every other professional who has looked at the tape has concluded and agreed with, it was in his right to detain the person to find out where the drugs were, if the drugs were there, if they were still there, and who brought them onto the campus. And that's when we separated the detainee. You remember I was there. We brought the detainee out into the back parking lot, not through the school. She was placed in a police vehicle until we could figure out what process we were going to use and what process we were going to go through to resolve the situation. And at that point, we let each person that was involved write a statement.
True.
We released the detainee. We brought the packet the backpack back to the sheriff's office. We called in an outside agency, a drug dog. We got hit on the packet. We tested the packet, and it was marijuana. That's what it was. So.
Sheriff and Council, I don't know if you all, I mean, certainly you all will probably want to go, if you want to say some other things on the record. Just to be clear, I don't know if there's a particular need to litigate the case tonight. I mean, I think you all are well aware of the standards under the First Circuit case of Penn, which was decided back in 2003. If anyone brought a claim under 1983, under any type of Fourth Amendment violation, it would be the degree that the officer felt in that particular circumstance, whether it was unreasonable, and the court would have to decide that. We're getting way in the weeds here now, and certainly you all can do that. I represent the school board, certainly in terms of parents or any students, they would certainly have the discretion to hire their own counsel if they felt, or any faculty or staff as well. But I think that, if we just kind of maybe want to wrap it up to the extent possible, I'm not trying to, but, counsel, you can certainly, I mean, I think we both know the standards here, but go ahead.
Board, Craig Frosch, I'm Executive Counsel for the Louisiana Sheriff's Association. And I have been working in that capacity for 30 years. And again, just to reiterate, everything that we've seen on that video and in the reports shows that proper procedures were followed. There was no arrest. There were no criminal charges brought. And we think that obviously it's the board's prerogative how you want to go with your SRO, right? But the sheriff has one now, and there is an agreement now for the sheriff to place an SRO. And this SRO was approved by the superintendent, it's my understanding, prior to being placed inside the school. And until a replacement is there, the sheriff has the authority to put Deputy Dupuy back in the school. If you want to cancel that agreement, that certainly is the board's prerogative. But understand, that's on the board. I agree that, if we're not here to litigate any claims, we wanted to just present what is shown in the videos, what's shown in the reports, what independent third parties, and this is not me. I looked at it and I've got my own responsibilities, but this was looked at by another sheriff's office. This was looked at by and discussed with the Attorney General's office, and everyone has said that the procedures that were followed were fine. And I understand it's a situation, it's an event that is disturbing, simply because that's just how you never want to see sausage made either. Okay, and the whole point of this was that the officer is there to protect the safety and security of your learners, of your faculty, of your staff, and the citizens of St. Helena Parish. That's why it's there, right? And that was the sole purpose of this. That was the sole motivation here. And that's what I wanted to present that to you. Now, if whatever the board decides to do, like I said, that's the board's prerogative to do. But the sheriff is ready to put that SRO back in the school, to continue the agreement that was reached way back when, and to provide that security. And if at some time you want to find someone else, hey, again, that's your prerogative to do. But I think the way the grant is written, you'd have problem with someone who is not coming from the sheriff's office, because it's my understanding that the grant is written so that it's the sheriff provide. So that is another complicating factor, again, that the board would have to consider before it makes its ultimate decision. But as a human being on planet Earth, I would suggest that,
having an SRO at the school is better than not having an SRO at the school. And however long it takes for the board or the superintendent to find someone else, if that's the ultimate resolution, hey, like I said, that's your decision to make. But I think in the interim, you know, there is an agreement, there is an arrangement. He has been cleared of any wrong. If you had a teacher who had done something wrong or allegedly done something wrong, and you do your investigation, boom, boom, boom. Well, we find there was nothing wrong. Follow the policies and procedures you're supposed to follow. And then you fire the teacher? Is that right? Because that seems like what is going on here. Here's the SRO who is there for the safety and security of the institutions and the students and the faculty. And everything that he did was according to established policies and procedures, as judged by an independent third party and other entities that deal with this on a day in, day out basis. So that's the point that I wanted to make, is that, you know, with the agreement that is in place, that hasn't been canceled, the sheriff is ready to place the SRO back in there. And ultimately, if you want to rework the grant, you can try to do that, so that others can come in. You know, that again, that's for the board to determine.
I just want to give a little context to this whole thing. Just give me a minute. So when I was called to go to the cafeteria, because I was told that our food service worker, she's here, was detained. I want to put it in a context for you. This was during the lunch shift. Kids were in the cafeteria eating lunch. She has 2 children who go to school there. You go into the kitchen. She's in handcuffs, leaning against the wall, crying. Officer Dupree has a clear bag in his hand, okay? I did not touch the bag. I don't know where that came from. I did not touch the bag. She was leaning on the wall crying. And Ms. Green was there wiping her face. Ms. Tracy was standing there, and we were all just in disbelief that this was occurring. So yes, to me, it was a ridiculous situation that someone who was not causing a disruption, not saying anything but crying against the wall, was in handcuffs. And he was ready to parade her from the back of the cafeteria through the building to his car in the front of the school.
That's not him.
That is humiliating, demoralizing, and just was completely ridiculous. And that is the word I used. It was ridiculous. I called the sheriff 4 or 5 times, asking him to please tell Officer Dupree just to remove the handcuffs, because she was not doing anything that was non-compliant. She was crying, leaning against the wall. Now, my human nature, right, as a human being, and watching how that was unfolding was disturbing. I had never experienced anything like that before in my life. And for him to have the attitude that he had, there was nothing in the bag. It smelled like weed. I said that from the beginning. It did. And whatever law enforcement needed to do to handle that situation, handle the situation. But there was nothing in that clear school bag. It smelled like weed. If you go into a bathroom and there is a kid in the bathroom and it smelled like weed, what can you do to that kid?
Everybody be in jail, if that's the case.
Law states nothing. You cannot state that because that kid was in that bathroom, that kid was smoking weed. I looked at it the same way with this clear bag that had nothing in it except the smell of weed. I still would like to know how much was collected in that bag, because I did not see anything in that clear bag that I did not touch. When he finally unhandcuffed her, there were other officers there, and there was a police car in the back. She was allowed to walk to that vehicle. I saw her son highly upset. She gets to the car, they recuff her and put her in the back of the vehicle. We take statements. When the statements were taken, they let her out the vehicle and just let her go. I'm not a law enforcement officer, but I thought that was strange that that occurred. You did all of this to this lady just to let her go. I don't know what happened after that either. But this is the issue as well. There are other instances, other incidents that occurred that led up to us saying he does not need to be on that campus. Several incidents have occurred. That was the final straw.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Leah Valdez, the Director of Exceptional Services. Safety. Safety is the school district's top priority. And I want to thank you, Dr. Joseph, for writing the grant so that we could increase and improve the safety for our faculty, our staff, and our learners, because they deserve it. They need it. We need it. What I witnessed personally, and what many of our kids witnessed in September of 2023, no one should ever have to witness that again. And so I commend you all for improving the safety of our school by bringing in an SRO. I don't believe that there's an adult in this room that is opposed to having an SRO to protect our faculty, our staff, and our learners. That's not what this is about. I have hired, and I'm sure this has happened in every entity, people or a person that does not fit that environment. Well, I've had to get rid of people. I didn't want to do that, but they didn't fit. They didn't align with our vision. On August 23rd of this year, I received a call from one of our teacher's assistants. And she said that one of our learners in a self-contained classroom, a young lady with an intellectual disability, wore a jacket that was against the school's, it was a hoodie, and it was against the school's policy. And so the principal asked this young lady to take the jacket off. The young lady refused because she was cold. Is according to this kid, she was cold. And guess what? She didn't have any other jacket. She didn't have another jacket. So this is what she had to wear. I don't know her home circumstances, but a little empathy goes a long way. This young lady went back to the class. She refused to give up that hoodie because that's all she had. I don't know if she had on a decent shirt under that, but that's what she had. The principal referred her to the SRO, who followed her back to that self-contained classroom. She got back to the self-contained classroom and he demanded that she take off that hoodie. he demanded that this young lady take off that hoodie. She refused. The teacher's assistant in the classroom gave her a jacket, I'm sorry, that jacket that she was wearing was one that she had borrowed from the teacher's assistant because she was cold and she didn't have another jacket. But he wanted her to take it off anyway. So she refused. I'm sorry, I'm getting this mixed up. She did have on a hoodie. She took the hoodie off eventually after she begged and begged and begged to keep it on. She gave him the hoodie. He took the hoodie because he threatened to call the police, have her taken to jail. This is a true story. He threatened to call the police, and then he also threatened to call DCFS. So she had to give over her hoodie. And when that happened, then the teacher's assistant gave her her jacket. And that's how she remained warm. And that is why I'm here, out of a concern for our learners, because the trauma, like I said, that these kids went through in September 23, we never need to go through that again. And we don't need to relive trauma. And we don't need to have adults bringing that trauma to our kids. This is a situation that could have been avoided. This is a young lady that has lost trust in an adult that should have been there to protect her. And this is not the person that we want in the place to protect our kids. And so we are not opposed to having a school resource officer. We just want someone that is going to care for our kids at that school. We don't need someone that is going to bring trauma to our kids, more trauma than they've already been through. And so, you know, I want to thank you, Sheriff, for supporting the position, the SRO position. We are asking to keep this position. We want to keep this position to provide the safety of our faculty, our staff, and our learners. But we want the right fit in place. We need the right person because we have to build relationships. And the person that we bring into our school district has to build a rapport and a relationship with those kids, those adults, the community. We have to have trust. And so that's all we're asking. That's all we're asking for. And we're asking you to support our efforts in making sure and ensuring the safety of our school district. Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, can I ask the sheriff a question? Sheriff Shoes, I might have misunderstood you because I can't hear good, and I apologize if I do. But did you say that you got an email saying this principal, if something happens, principal's not supposed to call you?
I did not get an email saying that. In my packet, this was given to me. It was what appears to be an email printed out. And it's in your packet also. You have the same paperwork that I have. If you look back next to the last page, I think. No, I did not get an email saying that. What I got was a piece of paper in a packet. I had 50 pages in a packet, or quite a few, the night that I was here. Obviously didn't have time to look at them at that night. When I got back and looked at them, it was titled Police Presence on Campus. And now this email, if you look at the timing, I think it was approximately 2 hours after the safety sweep that I had, that obviously Dr. Joseph was not extremely happy with. And it stated, from Kelly Joseph, greetings principals. Please allow this to serve as an official notification that prior approval must be given whenever the authorities are needed on school campuses. There are policies and procedures in the handbook to address behavioral issues and various incidents. Those must be utilized first. If the situation gets out of control and a police presence is necessary, you must contact me immediately for further instructions. This is that is what I received on a piece of paper that was a printed out email.
Did you send it?
I absolutely did.
So you want the principal to call you or something?
I absolutely did. And this was in response to what some people call a raid and what some people call a comprehensive safety drill. To me, what happened that day was a raid because you had 4 agencies and 15 dogs to come on a campus with less than 500 children. A comprehensive safety drill is something that happens that's coordinated with administrators and the sheriff's office or police officials to look at policies and to look at how things are handled, how a fire drill is handled, how a shooting drill happens, how all of those things happen. That is what you do. You work together. That is a safety drill. A raid is when you come in with no prior warning and you go in based on supposed to be probable cause, which in this case, there was no probable cause other than Sheriff, you stating in the meeting that the probable cause was from a shooting that happened over a year ago. That is not what is defined as a probable cause when you conduct a raid. And if it was a comprehensive safety drill, what you don't do, what doesn't come to a safety drill are zip ties. Zip ties are not a part of a safety drill.
Come on now.
You are ready to arrest our kids. And in this particular situation, that learner had a book set that they were checking. And they put that book set on the ground and had the dogs sniff it. When they sniffed it the first time, there was nothing. He then took the bag and put it on the door for the dog to sniff it again. And once again, there was nothing that the dog found. You do not bring zip ties to a safety drill.
Hell no.
Also, you do not bring 14 dogs to a safety drill. In this video, you will see one of the dogs drinking out of the water fountain and for our kids.
Was it officer suspended?
It says here that they're supposed to call you if something happens before they call the sheriff. Is that correct?
That is absolutely correct, and that is proper procedure.
There's a shooting happens, and you're in a meeting in Baton Rouge, and you don't answer that phone for 30 minutes. Then what happens? That's what it says here.
That's common sense, man.
There are other people in a situation like that. Come on, Mr. Travis. In a situation like that, we all know what we need to do. That is beyond to say that they would have to call me. But of course they would anyway, Mr. Travis. But in this situation, and that is in every school district across this state, and I have spoken to several superintendents. I have spoken to the state superintendent, and they have never heard of a time where the police can just come in and just raid the school whenever they want to, and that's exactly what you want to do.
My question was not about the safety check. My question is about what's written on this piece of paper. I'm totally against that.
That is proper protocol.
It's like
That's proper protocol.
It's like that.
And you can ask any superintendent, it is proper protocol that you will notify administration when a police officer is needed at the school.
We also have the raid panic button, so if in an instance, they will alert everybody.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're supposed to. I want to call her.
Sheriff Sheets, are you aware of our panic button?
Personally, I'm not. I don't know. Is Captain Sharkey still on?
I gave you a copy of our emergency handbook.
I did see, okay.
This is the video of the dog drinking out the water.
Of course. That's what y'all keep saying.
Allowing the dog.
This, to me, was not a comprehensive safety drill. To me, and to a lot of other people, this was a raid. We have had relationships with the sheriff. And we have had where we've had safety drills, we've had random searches, we've done those things. And when I talked to you, Sheriff, that day, that is what I was thinking, but you had a different idea about it. You had 4 different agencies, Livingston, Tangible Hold, your agency, and the state police.
That wasn't necessary.
To come on campus of a school that's less than 500 kids. Our kids do not deserve that. We want safety, we absolutely do. But I feel like it needs to be done in a responsible way. I don't feel like this was responsible. And I was not aware that all of this was occurring. And also remember, you said you met with when the school principal says that the SRO uses his badge as a way to intimidate children. When that right there was enough for me. The incidents came to me. I saw the incident that happened with our employee. That was the last straw. With this raid, what I consider a raid or what other people consider a comprehensive safety drill, I came from a school of over 1,500 kids. Now, one time, did you see any police officers come in a school like that and raid a school? You came in as sheriff, and before you would raid a bar room, you raided a school. You need, I feel, to have positive relationships with authorities. That is what I care about. I really believe that we can work together and move forward for the safety of our children. I just feel, Sheriff, and not just me, the SRO position is there. It's the person that you're fighting for, but that's the person that is not aligned with what we need at that school. So we're asking that we have a different person in the position.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Hey, could I say, just for 2 simple things, if I could, you showed me an episode of the dog at the water fountain. I did notify that chief deputy of that department, told them what I had seen, that it was inappropriate. We did not work that way. And I notified the sheriff of that parish, and they said that they would handle it.
Was they in that report?
Mhm.
No. But we wouldn't even be talking about an SRO position if you wouldn't apply for the grant. Because we wouldn't even have an SRO. We wouldn't have it. We wouldn't have it.
I want to reiterate what Ms. Brown said. I applied personally for that SRO position, that grant, to have an SRO. I spent weeks writing that grant. I understand the importance of it, and you are correct. We wouldn't be in this position if I had not written the grant. The grant does not state that we need to hire a particular individual. The grant states that we hire a position, an SRO position. So we need a person in the position that aligns to what we need in our school.
Thank you.
Well, I have a question, Dr. Joseph. With the grant, are you saying that we pay for the SRO person?
The grant, yes, the grant is here, and it's for 1 year. It's 1 year, and I have to reapply for the grant. I didn't have to apply for an SRO position. I could have applied for more cameras or anything that's dealing with safety. but I applied for an SRO.
So the sheriff office is not paying for this person.
The sheriff's office is not paying for the bulk of it, but the sheriff's office does have responsibility of providing the vehicle, the other equipment, and all of those things. And we understand again, this was a probationary period. Sheriff, are you correct? Am I correct in saying that? You said this would be a probationary period. And if it works out, it does. If it doesn't work out, then we'll look in a different direction. But we're at the point where we want to look in a different direction.
Dr. Joseph, you are clear that he is my employee, fully my employee. Fully, 100% a sheriff's office employee employed by me.
But not paid by you.
He is paid by me. We have a grant. When Miss Wendy Gill, when I hooked you up with her, Miss Gill from GoSef contacted me about a school resource officer grant when I talked to her. She said it has to go through the school. I told you about it. You got Miss Gill and you did. You wrote it, you worked it out, and you did a wonderful thing, and I'm very appreciative for that. The grant was for almost $50,000. And the way we set the grant up, and the way it is set up, it has to go to the school. The school in turn gets with the sheriff's office, and we provide you with an SRO program. That's what we provide you with. And the way we set it up was quarterly payments. And you would pay me a quarter each quarter of that amount. Then you get your money back whenever you get it. I'm not sure exactly how your grant works. My question is, you are aware that he is my employee.
Yes.
100% my employee.
He is your employee, and
Okay.
that is how all our SROs are hired. The sheriff's department hires the SRO, and the sheriff has a relationship with the school system to place those SROs. That is correct. But in our case, the reason why we do have the SRO is because I did write the grant.
You did, yes, ma'am.
After, we talked, that's after, right? That grant, there are 49 other districts, 49 other schools that apply for the grant as well, and they got different things what they wanted for their school safety. But the grant is here, and yes, that is your employee. Absolutely, I never said that the individual would not be, but this is the issue. When you brought two individuals for us, me and Ms. Strickland, to interview, we selected someone. So explain to me why now, during this probationary period, you said that if it works out, fine. If it doesn't work out, then we can look in a different direction. We are here looking to go a different direction. And so why can't we now? Why is it now only about the person and not the position?
Dr. Joseph, every one of my positions are that way. When I hire someone, I do an interview process, and I hire them on a probationary period. I'm guessing you may do the same thing. I don't know. And when they get through that probationary period, then we put them on permanent status. And yes, he was on that probationary period. That is my decision to make, 100%. He is my employee. If you got the impression that you would be able to decide his fate as my employee, then I mistakenly gave you that.
Let me get a clarification. Let me get a clarification.
Okay.
At the end of the day, it's the board decision if we want. Is that what you said, attorney?
What I said was that the agreement between the board and the sheriff to have an SRO there, and this deputy was selected for that position. And if you want to, and the sheriff is going to follow that, right, that agreement, and this is the employee, there's extra training that goes into the making of a school resource officer. This is the only officer on his staff that has that extra training to be a school resource officer. And if this does not work out, and obviously it sounds like it is not working out, then I think that we can have some discussions about where to go in the future. But what I'm saying is, in the interim, this is it.
This is not it. And also remember that the high school there we have two options.
As I said before, if you want to terminate this,
It's like any other
then there
contract.
will be no
We have language,
SRO there.
we have the language in the MOU that if it has to be terminated, we terminated. Obviously, the school has an interest in maintaining safety. The school has an interest in certainly getting financial support. The school doesn't want to have to pay back $14,000. Okay, so in terms of whether or not the issue comes down to the fit and whether we can work that out. That's I think everybody has said a lot.
Yes, I think so. It's time for us to move on.
Thank you all for your time.
Citizens of St. Helena Parish are aware of what's going on now. And some light has been shed here tonight.
I say something.
So,
We had a meeting
somebody,
last night with the.
come to the podium, please, Mr. Burton.
Oh, I said, we had a meeting last night at the town hall with Nick, Say, and everybody dealing with all of this. Try to get agreement with, I know they do need a school resource officer and all like that, but my understanding, they can go with something like a campus police, or they don't have no right to like arrest nobody and stuff. They can't detain, then they call the police, stuff like that. So we trying to see they do have that right. I know thinking Tesco Parish and other parish that does have like in a parish security companies work at some schools and y'all just pay them like $19 an hour to work. Then some they can't detain them and all like that. Then y'all can like call the police and stuff like that.
Correct. We're looking into that.
Okay, then
But
you can do
the
it.
issue though is we want to keep I want to keep the grant.
Okay.
I want the grant and I want to work with the sheriff's office, but I want the sheriff to provide us with an SRO that is more in line with our values in our school.
And if we're concerned about the children of St. Helena Parish,
Yeah.
we're gonna make the right decision and we're gonna do what's best for children, not adults. That's not our concern. It's about the learners.
So you would call them, you had called more like a campus police officer or something there, still an SRO officer or something like that. You could probably go that route, and use another word, term and stuff like that. Still, as I said, school resource officer say we're gonna have campus police. I know some college does have campus police, and and the school board does pay for all that.
It's not a sheriff resource officer.
All right.
Thanks for sharing.
All right.
Thanks.
We say that we might be the city. Don't we want what's best? I'm not knocking the city police, but they are undermanned. That's some of my best friends, the city police.
But Mr. Travis, wait, Mr. Travis. Obviously, we can't come to an agreement. That's what it sounds like, because we discussed this before. Communication is the key. And obviously, we sat down, we had the conversation. So communication was not conveyed in a manner where we can reach a reasonable decision. And we're constantly saying the same thing.
Yeah.
I'm ready to move on. Item D.
Could I ask one question on this matter about tomorrow? Could I?
We're gonna talk about that shortly. We'll let you know before we leave here tonight.
We'll
let you know what we wanna do
tomorrow. Thank you so much.
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
All right. Item D, approve committee reports. Approve committee reports from November 14, 2024.
I'm gonna be approved the report.
Motion by Mr. Travis to approve the committee reports from November 14, 2024. Second by Mr. George Hughes. No questions, shall pass by general consent. Item 2. Motion by Ms. Bell that we go into executive session, second by Ms. Porter. No question, we shall return shortly.
Oh, yes, ma'am. Look, I had to put my glasses on to see it.
The meeting will come back to order. We're now returning from executive session. Can I get a motion that we return from executive session? Motion by Mr. George Hughes that we return from executive session. Second by Mr. Elton Travis. So according to the item that we went into executive session, Vernon Garcia versus St. Helena Parish School District, 21st JDC number 25-510. There was no action taken up on that motion. Announcement of the next meeting date, December 12th, 2024. Closing comment. Dr. Joseph, would you like to have some closing comment?
This evening was very interesting. I want everyone to know that ever since I've been here in this district, my number one priority has always been about our kids and doing what's right for children. That came with a high price because there are a lot of adults that did not care for that. A lot of adults. And so there are people who you can love me or you hate me. But at the end of the day, I'm going to do what's right for children. And whenever it's time for me to move on and retire and do whatever, you will never say that I didn't care for my kids. Even if it's unpopular, even if I have to deal with someone, the sheriff coming in and making the comments that he did, I have thick skin, especially when it comes down to my kids. I love them, and I mean that with every fiber of my being. I have sacrificed. I have spent time away from my own family and my own children to be here with the children of St. Helena. Whether you like it, whether you love it, I'm here for children. And so with that, we are going to move on with a different school resource officer, because that is what's best for our children. The one incident that he talked about with the employee, that was the last straw. There were other situations that occurred that brought me to this decision. And I did not make this decision alone. I didn't go out looking for situations. The situations came to my desk. And who would I be as superintendent to not address it? That's my job. It's a hard job, but I take full responsibility for doing what's right for children in this district. And I stand on that. Like the kids say, 10 toes down. I stand on that. And there are 2 viable candidates that are ready to come in tomorrow and take over that responsibility as school resource officer. So I'm going to ask the sheriff to take a look at those individuals and select from there. But we have to move on. I do want safety. I do want our kids to feel secure. I want our parents in this community to know that that is a top priority for me. And I do not want to have happen again what happened last year. We do not want that. So I'm asking for this community to please come together and rally around our children. And let's always make sure we put the right people in front of them, even with our challenges. You all know our challenges. Our pay is low. We know this, right? We're in a rural area. To create access and opportunities for our children is very difficult, but we do it. And I always tell everyone, we punch above the weight. We always punch above the weight for our kids. It's always a fight and a struggle to give them the bare minimum that other kids in other districts have with no problem. But we push and we fight and we give them the best. I want our kids to know that I love them. I want you parents to know I love your children. And I'm going to always strive to put the right people in front of them, as difficult as it may be. I work hard every single day to make that happen. I'm not perfect. I never claim to be. But when it comes down to these children, I'm going to do all I can to make sure they have what they need to be successful. And that's it.
Can I make a closing comment?
Sure, it's board members come in.
It's against the law for the board to tell the superintendent who she can hire and who she can fire. This decision was made by the superintendent. So that's how I got it. We've done that for 12 years. We have never told her who to hire and fire.
And if we violate that, what will happen?
I don't know. I don't want to know what will happen.
We serve some
repercussions.
Exactly.
Maybe they put Miss Cheney in jail.
Board president going to jail. All right, any other comments?
Yeah, I just want to comment the school staff on the ribbon cutting. It was beautiful. Congratulations, Mr. Scott Garvin, Dr. Joe, everybody involved in it. It was wonderful, and I'm so glad that that it happened, and there was some positive information on Channel 2 about St. Helena Parish. Because working in economic development, trying to do something for this parish, you know, everything negative, you can't get anything done. How are you going to get businesses to come here when everything that happens here is negative? So seeing that great positive message, that positive report out there was wonderful. It was good. Helps me do my job. So congratulations, school.
I would just like to say, thanks to all the parents that came out tonight. Do come back. Get involved. It's about our children. And if you're not here for the children, then you're here for the wrong reason. Parents, spread the word. Come. If you can't come, Flying Ghost Production is always live. Can I get that last motion? This meeting is adjourned. Oh, yeah. St. Helena Pan Pine tomorrow night in the playoff. Go Hawks. At Pine. And kudos, babe. It's crazy. I know. But you.